What if I told you there are missing books of the Bible, ancient texts that were hidden, banned, or forgotten? For centuries, the Bible we know today has been regarded as the definitive Word of God. But what if the version of the Bible we've inherited is not the whole story? What if some crucial writings were intentionally left out, lost to history, or even suppressed by the very institutions that shaped Christian faith? In this video, we'll dive into the fascinating world of the lost Gospels, texts that were once considered significant by early Christians, but were excluded from the official canon. These are the writings of those who knew Jesus or his followers, yet somehow their voices were silenced, leaving us with only fragments of their stories. What were these lost Gospels, and why were they hidden? Were they too radical, too controversial, or did they reveal a different side of Christianity that the early church wanted to keep secret? From the Gospel of Thomas, with its hidden wisdom, to the Gospel of Judas, which paints a very different picture of betrayal, these texts challenge everything we think we know about Jesus, his disciples, and the birth of Christianity. In this video, you'll uncover the mysterious origins of these forgotten scriptures, why these writings were left out of the Bible, what their teachings reveal about Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and the early Christian church, and the potential impact they could have on how we view the faith today. So grab your curiosity and come with me as we explore what was hidden from the Bible and why it matters. So, what exactly are the lost Gospels? These are ancient texts that fall outside the boundaries of the official biblical canon. While the Bible we read today includes 66 books, divided between the Old and New Testaments, there were other writings that early Christian communities regarded as important, but were never included in the final list of accepted scriptures. These lost Gospels, often referred to as apocryphal or non-canonical texts, offer alternative narratives, teachings, and interpretations of Jesus' life and message. Among the most famous is the Gospel of Thomas. Unlike the traditional gospel accounts, which focus on Jesus' life and death, Thomas is filled with sayings and parables that emphasize personal knowledge and inner transformation. Its focus on secret wisdom, often referred to as Gnosticism, is radically different from the message found in the New Testament. Then there's the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which portrays her not just as a follower of Jesus, but as a prominent spiritual leader, even suggesting she possessed secret knowledge that the other disciples did not. This challenges centuries of tradition that downplayed Mary Magdalene's role in early Christianity. The Gospel of Judas takes things even further, presenting Judas not as the villain, but as a hero fulfilling Jesus' request to betray him, an act that ultimately leads to divine fulfillment. These texts were largely forgotten or deliberately suppressed for centuries. The Nag Hammadi Library, a cache of ancient manuscripts discovered in 1945 in Egypt, revealed many of these hidden Gospels. Other texts, such as the Dead Sea Scrolls, uncovered more fragments that offer fascinating new insights into early Christian thought. So why were these Gospels excluded from the Bible? That's the question we're about to explore. The question of why these lost Gospels were left out of the Bible is a crucial one. The process of selecting which books would make it into the official biblical canon wasn't as straightforward as it might seem. In the early centuries of Christianity, there were countless writings circulating among different communities, each claiming to reveal the true teachings of Jesus. But not all of these writings were accepted by the broader Christian world. So how did the early church decide which books were authentic? The selection process wasn't based purely on theological debate, but was heavily influenced by political and power dynamics. As the Christian church began to gain more influence especially with the Roman Emperor Constantine's adoption of Christianity in the 4th century, the question of what was official became more urgent. The Church needed a unified doctrine, something that could be universally accepted across the expanding empire. This meant choosing scriptures that supported a specific theological narrative, one that aligned with the growing authority of the Church. One key moment in this process was the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Convened by Constantine, this council sought to resolve disagreements within Christianity, particularly concerning the nature of Christ. While the council didn't directly decide on the biblical canon, it marked a pivotal shift toward consolidating the power of Orthodox Christianity and sidelining any alternative views. It was here that texts like the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which had Gnostic tendencies or portrayed a different view of Jesus and his teachings, were branded as heretical. Over time, these non-canonical Gospels became associated with dangerous or deviant ideas that didn't fit the emerging orthodoxy. To protect its power, the Church effectively erased them from history. What we are left with is the official Bible, a carefully curated collection that has shaped the faith of billions, but perhaps left out some key pieces of the puzzle. The lost Gospels are filled with teachings that challenge the conventional understanding of Jesus, his disciples, and Christianity itself. These texts present radically different portrayals of Jesus and his message, often going against the grain of what we've been taught in the canonical Gospels. One of the most controversial aspects of the lost Gospels is their alternative view of Jesus. For instance, the Gospel of Thomas depicts Jesus as a wise teacher who emphasizes personal spiritual knowledge, referred to as gnosis, rather than focusing on his death and resurrection as the key to salvation. This Gnostic perspective sees salvation not as a matter of faith or divine grace, but as an individual's journey to discover hidden truths about the universe and the self. In these texts, Jesus isn't just the Son of God, but a guide to unlocking the mysteries of existence, offering profound, secret teachings that were passed down to a select few. The Gospel of Judas, perhaps one of the most shocking, presents a completely different narrative. Here, Judas Iscariot is not the villain, but a key figure in fulfilling Jesus' divine plan. Far from betraying him out of malice, Judas is depicted as acting on Jesus' instructions, ensuring the betrayal that would lead to the crucifixion, something Jesus foresaw as necessary for the completion of his mission. This portrayal flips traditional Christian teachings, turning Judas from the ultimate betrayer into a misunderstood hero. And then there's the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which questions the traditional gender roles in early Christianity. Mary Magdalene is portrayed as a leader among the disciples, even holding secret knowledge that Jesus imparted to her, challenging the male-dominated narratives of the New Testament. Was she more than just a follower? Was she a partner in the divine plan? These questions have sparked debate and controversy ever since these texts were rediscovered. In these lost writings, we see a more complex, mysterious Christianity, one that asks us to reconsider what we've always been taught about sin, salvation, and the role of key figures like Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The question of who wanted the lost Gospels hidden is not just about conspiracy, it's a matter of power, control, and the shaping of Christian doctrine. The early church, especially after the Roman Empire officially embraced Christianity, had a vested interest in consolidating its power and unifying Christian beliefs. As Christianity spread, so did a variety of interpretations about the teachings of Jesus. These diverse beliefs created a dilemma. How could the church maintain unity and authority in the face of competing narratives? The lost Gospels were seen as a direct challenge to the growing Orthodox Christianity that the early church sought to establish. Texts like the Gospel of Thomas, which emphasizes personal spiritual knowledge over traditional doctrines of faith and grace, or the Gospel of Judas, which reinterprets the story of betrayal, threatened the theological unity the church worked hard to construct. These texts presented alternative views of Jesus, salvation, and divine knowledge, ideas that could fragment the fledgling Christian community. As the church solidified its control, key theological figures and councils, such as the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, played a role in suppressing these Gospels. The church sought to define what was official Christianity, often through the lens of political power. Books that did not align with the core message of Jesus' divinity, his death and resurrection, or the role of the church were considered not only heretical, but dangerous. But were these books truly dangerous, or were they just inconvenient? Perhaps it wasn't so much about outright danger, but more about maintaining control over the religious narrative. The lost Gospels challenged the structures and authority the early church was trying to build, and in a world where the written word held tremendous power, eliminating these texts was a way to secure the future of Christianity as it was understood at the time. These texts were not merely lost, but systematically buried, their message too radical or divergent for the church's vision of a unified Christian doctrine. The rediscovery of the lost Gospels has profound implications for how we understand Jesus and Christianity today. These ancient texts force us to confront uncomfortable questions about the nature of faith, history, and the development of religious doctrines. For centuries, the Bible has shaped our understanding of Jesus as a divine figure whose life, death, and resurrection are central to Christianity. But the lost Gospels reveal a different side of this story, one where Jesus is not just the Savior, but a teacher of hidden wisdom, a guide to personal transformation, and even a catalyst for challenging traditional power structures. These Gospels invite us to see Jesus as more complex and multifaceted than the narrow, often institutionalized portrayal we've inherited. The Gospel of Thomas, with its emphasis on personal, mystical knowledge, questions the necessity of external authorities and rituals in salvation. It suggests that the divine can be discovered within each of us, a radical concept that resonates in today's spiritual climate, where many seek personal, direct experiences with the divine, rather than relying solely on established religious structures. Similarly, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene challenges traditional gender roles in Christianity, offering a more inclusive view of leadership and spiritual insight, and presenting Mary not just as a follower, but as a teacher in her own right. But the question remains, should these Gospels be reconsidered as part of the Christian canon? For many, the lost Gospels may seem like a threat to established beliefs. For others, they are a missing piece of the puzzle that could deepen our understanding of early Christianity. In our modern world, where the search for spiritual authenticity is more prominent than ever, these texts challenge us to reconsider what it means to follow Jesus. Are we open to seeing Christianity through a wider, more diverse lens? Or are we afraid of the implications these texts might hold for traditional faith? The choice is ours. We've journeyed through the mystery of the lost Gospels, ancient texts that were once seen as part of the Christian story, but were ultimately left out of the Bible. We've explored how these Gospels challenge the traditional narrative of Jesus, offering radical perspectives on his teachings, the role of his disciples, and even the nature of salvation. From the Gnostic wisdom in the Gospel of Thomas to the surprising portrayal of Judas as a key figure in the Gospel of Judas, these texts force us to rethink everything we know about Christianity. And of course, the role of Mary Magdalene as a leader, not just a follower, raises important questions about gender and spiritual authority in early Christianity. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think these books should have been included in the Bible? Could they offer us a deeper understanding of the Christian faith? Or are they too far removed from the core message of Christianity? Let's start a conversation. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And please, comment below with your thoughts. Let's keep the discussion going. What do you think these lost texts mean for us today?